Oh boy, this one's gonna be tough to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if I cry at this one. Oh boy, here we go. I've been waiting for this documentary though, so I've been waiting for this though. I wonder if I could hear, if y'all can hear this, hear the peacock thing. Wyatt. I did it was never working. But goodness, Brian Wyatt! Wow, sure you can get like Hang, oh, hang on. Okay, I'm back. Let's, um, this film has multiple other reasons used. These are the her takes of Wendell Tonda, aka Bray Wyatt. Right. Oh, fun how that was. Oh, It's really mercy being back to work. Oh my god! Holy crap! That's insane. Mm, cool. It's really cool. Dang. Triple H is came to Atlanta. Here we go. You know what? Yeah. Oh, I didn't put that in the same. Mm. I think this is where my computer starts messing up. Come on, I knew it was going. I knew it was going. Shoot. Let's see if this will work for it. Let's see if this will work. Mhm. Oh, frick. He'll see the sun again for years to come. Broken out of love. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see if this shall work. No, it's not gonna work. I don't think. I just want to watch the damn thing. Ooh. No, it's not really working. It's not really working. Okay, I think I got it better on. I think I got it better.
And it's that was the first time I saw it bigger than life.
Shoulders are down. Kick out at 2. I was very happy. Your kid worked really hard to get reward. Oh my God! That's not seen in his tracks. What is that? I've never seen a match quite like this. 20 years from now, this will happen with John. That's what I'm looking forward to. John Cena's legacy grows. It was spectacular. I'm an advocate for it takes 10 years to establish sort of fluency. I know Husky Harrison worked out, but holy shit. When he came back, it was like fluency in 6 months. That is a meteoric rise. An incredible scene in the sea of fireflies when Bray Wyatt calls his followers lighting the arena.
The lantern to me is like this is one of the many things I loved about your brother is that he could make anything iconic.
This one's like the first one, too.
Yeah, this is it. This is the very first one.
Looking at this, it reminds me of the birth of the Fireflies. Like, to see that as it was happening was I have a memory, Madison Square Garden, and I got to see his entrance. And
I mean, because that's it, right? Madison Square Garden is
it's something I'll never forget.
Yeah.
To look out and see the sea of lights. The Fireflies we had never seen before in WWE, and I don't know if we'll ever see it again. We're here.
It was created by the fans on their own. You know, they called themselves the Fireflies, and it became their own thing. And now it's become a spectacle. Like almost a piece of what you pay to come see at a WWE show is Wyatt entrance.
What you get is not just typical fan participation. You get this idea that everything this character is saying is true. Because every little light that is around this darkened arena represents somebody that's buying in to whatever this malicious character is selling.
You just found a niche. Finding a niche is a really hard thing to do. You want to make it last for a while.
The matches, the promos, all of it's just avenues that we take to do what we're really doing here, which is connect with the audience. That's it. So if you find a way to do that, that's your ticket. That's how you climb the ladder. And he clearly did.
When people would approach him, they wanted to meet Bray, and Wyndham gave them who he was, and he took his time.
You like anything else? Oh, is this for me?
I appreciate everything you do. Thank you for everything.
Whatever you have going on in your life, it matters to me. Even if we have a 5-minute interaction, whatever you want to tell me is important to me, and I'm going to genuinely listen. And when I walk away from you, I'm going to leave you better than I found you.
I love you.
He's my favorite wrestler of all time. I'm still shaking. Love you, Bryce.
Don't be running around.
He just had it. And not only it, he had everything else to go along with that.
never seen anyone so committed to being a character. And when he was Bray Wyatt, I don't know if anyone was more believable. I don't know if anyone immersed you as much, if anyone made you believe as much as he did. He was just one of the most cerebral performers I think that I'd ever met because his preparation was so real.
I'm here. You're here. We're all here.
I remember being in the backstage one time, and as I'm walking past, I see like Wyndham out of the corner of my eye, like this up to the wall in this little alcove, and he's just going over his promo, going over his promo, going over his promo. And I remember thinking, wow, I wish I could have that type of focus and that type of dedication and that type of commitment to the character. He's such a creative guy.
Wyndham's commitment to his craft caught my eye. I knew this kid was special, and the time was right for us to meet in the ring. When I got that message that I was going to have the luxury and the privilege of competing against The Undertaker in the WrestleMania, I was immediately like, oh my God. I am Bray Wyatt, the new face of fear! And then I remember he was in a room, and I remember him kind of, he just his finger. And he called me in and he's kind of set me down real calm. He's like, you ready to do this? And I'm like, yeah. This is everything I've ever trained for. Of course I'm ready for this.
It will be a night forever etched in history, and legends will be born.
It was huge. Nobody can touch The Undertaker. I mean, he had his action figures.
You think Bray Wyatt might be having second thoughts right now?
I enjoyed it because it's like watching the Freddy versus Jason live or Godzilla versus King Kong.
Bray Wyatt wanted to dance with the devil? Welcome to hell.
That night on the grandest stage, Wyndham proved he was a legend in the making.
That indeed is the new face of fear.
That WrestleMania match did more for me than I could ever put into words. Oh, what a WrestleMania moment! At that time, I was struggling with my confidence. And that night, Wyndham helped restore not only The Undertaker. The Undertaker did it! But Mark Calloway as well.
He's like your father, and he is responsible for so much of the progression of this business, not just in the ring, but what he did behind the stages to kind of show everyone and lead by his example.
By 2015, Bray Wyatt was box office.
My year.
And all the while, he was becoming a trusted mentor behind the scenes. I hadn't been into the business for too long. The second he laid eyes on me, he pulled me off to the side and was like, I want you to be a part of us. I don't know how, when, where. He's like, but holy cow, look at you.
What the?
This guy's a monster. Look at the size of him.
From day one, he treated me like a brother. Taught me all kinds of stuff in the ring. But honestly, I learned more from him about the real world, I feel like. Him being a third generation wrestler, being in this business, already been on TV, established and stuff like that. He'd already navigated the wolves in the forest. He was just that guy that just made sure everyone was happy, everyone was well taken care of, and felt like they belonged.
I remember coming up and being afraid and being scared and being away from home, and the warmth and the humility with which he talked to you, like he was on the same level as you, and with just no pretenses about him.
I think he really loved people, and I think he loved positively affecting people. He loved seeing people smile or laugh.
Even when he was like, I've been on the road for 2 weeks and just want to get home and see his kids, he was still always in a good mood. He was just such a pleasure to be around as a human being.
Wyndham's lineage and the fact that the business is in his blood, not only was he this interesting performer. He had a lot of respect for the business, a lot, and he had a lot of camaraderie with the superstars. He was really fun to be around, and always wanted everybody to have a good time. He could light up a room in an instant. He was the guy who was a chameleon, and he was the guy that everybody was best friends with. He had a certain draw to him.
Just had a charisma, a zest for life, like you were drawn to him. He was a very magnetic person.
This is the greatest night in live entertainment.
WrestleMania 32. Over 100,000 fireflies lit up the sky for Bray Wyatt. A spectacle that was recognized by one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Rock's had his eye on you ever since you came into the WWE. You got it all. You hold people in the palm of your hands. When the lights went out, you came down. 100,000 people had their phones up. 100,000 people.
He was almost bulletproof at that point. I never saw him exhibit any nerves as he's lining up for these huge main events. You simply couldn't take your eyes off him. After 4 years on the main roster, there was a milestone that Bray Wyatt had yet to achieve.
Oh no, WWE Championship.
Leaving the new WWE Champion. Phenomenal formula exploited by Wyatt. That's the Abigail on AJ Styles. Bray Wyatt has done it. In the soul-stealing structure known as the Elimination Chamber, Bray Wyatt has won his first WWE Championship.
The company had put their stamp on him and said, this is going to be our guy. I mean, there's not many better feelings from a performer's perspective when you finally get that.
In this salacious match, Bray Wyatt rose from the ashes to taste the ultimate glory. The era of Wyatt is here.
He was the first in the family to win, which is pretty good considering your grandfather did it, your uncles did it, your dad did it. You were the first, so that's cool.
Out of all of us, I'm the one that did it my whole entire life. No matter what accolade or what thing I did, great. The first paragraph was about everyone else in my family that was not me and all the things they had done. And now it's like, you look at anything about them, it's a whole paragraph about me.
You're working with talent. You form a bond with them, and you know the human being behind it, and you know how hard they work at it. Wyndham winning a title that had eluded his entire family was so special.
I was there. It was huge. I cried. That was very, very cool.
If I go back and look at the landscape of my life, my career here, the ridiculously hard times are kind of what strengthened me. I knew sooner or later I'd get to it. It was just a matter of how and when.
It was huge for him. Getting on top of one thing to stay there. Being on top means numerous appearances, new responsibilities, and more time away from home. Me and Bray were very close, especially for that stint. We were working so closely together, and we're really telling some good stories and having a lot of fun on TV. I feel like we're shooting a movie for Sci-Fi Channel right now. Being on the road, it's tough. When guys start having kids, we get a little older, things change. It's very hard to balance, especially when you're a young man, the work and home life balance, if you will. It's virtually impossible.
It was just after WrestleMania in Orlando. Things were not what they used to be. He was on the road, traveling. I was at home with the kids, and we ultimately got divorced. Our lives just grew apart.
He was absent, mind, body, and soul. The divorce in that time of his life was a devastating ordeal.
Wyndham's frustrations affected his focus.
You guys remember Long at the beginning?
Let's go.
Yep.
Wyndham was very emotionally attached to his work. When things went great, they were great. And when they were not so great, they were frustrating. They were exaggerated, frustrating.
You gonna cut me?
Sometimes the hardest thing to talk him into was, okay, Baba, how do we make that work in the ring? I get it. That shit is crazy. It seems genius. It's like, man, I'm intrigued by that. Okay, but now, ding, ding. And that was sometimes the trick. He was so creative and so outside the box that pulling it back into a particular genre was hard for him to do. While Wyndham's brother Taylor was finding success as a WWE Tag Team Champion, Bray's on-screen Wyatt family was no more.
Harper and Rowan had branched off and become a tag team on their own called the Bludgeon Brothers. Braun Strowman had become a bona fide main event superstar. The Bray Wyatt character kind of found himself in a neutral position. He was on TV, but he wasn't really prominently featured.
When I was working with Harper and Rowan doing the Bludgeon Brothers stuff, he'd come and check it out and, give the classic, like, oh, baby. Oh, you guys look good, sexy. Cracking jokes. But then you'd see every time he'd see something artistic and creative, like, we'd make these things for Harper and Rowan. He'd be like, I want that. What can I do? And you'd see the gear start turning.
And that's the thing with Wyndham. And like you said, this was around 2018, and behind the scenes, there was a lot going on in Wyndham's life. And a normal person with everything that he was dealing with could have let everything go and kind of lost the grip of it all. But he always been able to find inspiration in places I don't think anybody else could.
As Wyndham dealt with the stress, he leaned on his friends. Together 4 or 5 days a week. We cried together, we laughed together, we did everything together. WWE is such a family, like really is. Like we're all together so much. We're all away from our families and stuff like that, our real blood families. We all have a really cool relationship.
JoJo.
My name is JoJo, and originally I started off as a wrestler, and then I transitioned into a role of the ring announcer. The following no-holds-barred match will begin in Bray Wyatt's House of Horrors. We respected each other's work, and we slowly became really, really great friends through that time. And so when we were both able to, we started dating.
I lived with JoJo when I was in NXT. I never pictured JoJo and Wyndham together, not for a single second. Like, it never dawned on me.
A lot of people
But then
don't.
you see them together and you're like, oh yeah, oh, that makes sense. They're just these two beautiful souls.
JoJo made Wyndham happy, and that's all you can ask for is to be happy in this world,
It's just that old saying, like you can't fight fate. And I think fate just took a little while for them to find each other.
He loves her so much, and she meant the world to him.
In 2019, Wyndham and JoJo welcomed their first child, a son, Nash.
When we found out it was a boy, he was so happy. He goes, I didn't think I could have boys. I thought I was destined for girls my whole life.
Nash boy is the sweetest little human that I've ever met. He looks more like JoJo, but he has Wyndham's personality. 2 years later, they would welcome a little girl, Hyrie.
We've got the yin and yang. We've got the one that's Wyndham, the firstborn, and then the second one is just full of fire.
One of the things that I loved the most about Wyndham in general was how wonderful of a father he always was.
Just going over to their house, it was like a scene out of a movie, just loud and happy, always. She changed his life for the better.
happiness inspired his creative side. By early 2019, the idea for a new character started to develop.
He always joked about how every time he's had a child, it boosted his confidence to come back even harder. So we would be at home and we're laying in bed and he's like, so I have this idea.
Wyndham's journey took him to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
For years, Wyndham was always like, hey, we got to do something. Let's do something. Like, have my number, call me. Then out of the blue at like 2 a.m., I finally got the call from Wyndham in classic Wyndham fashion. And was like, hey, man, I've been sent home. Creative has nothing for me. I know what that means. I got to do something drastic, and I need your help.
All right, now we have the female WWE archives that's never been seen before.
In the spring of 2019, Wyndham had an idea for a new character. I've always been a huge fan of the horror. So naturally, the progression was, when I started watching wrestling, it was the more characters always caught my eye. One of my earliest memories was Papa Shango. It's from Warrior. Papa Shango's face, he's in a trance, he's in another world, and the curse is affecting the Ultimate Warrior. That type of stuff is stuff that really sticks in my head. I think committed in wrestling needs that kind of dark entity in it. When we were children, we weren't hearing the stereotypical bedtime stories. We were hearing Stephen King.
They needed their daily update of where my book was and what it was doing, and they would both come to the table with these like characters, all with the Stephen King basis. They have that influence. I didn't mean to do it, but I did.
We both were huge fans.
I wonder if they're gonna reveal who Uncle Howdy is. Just like give that confirmation.
But not only that, to make what you would think to be good seem evil, and what you think to be evil seem good. So yeah,
Even the mask.
So yeah, man, again, working with your brothers, the best time I've ever had, professionally and personally. We just called and he was like, I want to come up with this idea. I want this mask.
I love wrestling, but I was The Rock and Stone Cold, and he was Kane and Undertaker, Papa Shango, and anything weird. He was always attracted to that. I think because if you look at him, he looks like a monster.
Yeah,
but he had the biggest heart.
I'm obviously paraphrasing whatever he said one time, that the only way to judge darkness is through the absolute light. So, just doing that was like this beautiful thing that he's like, no, show the world. If you use something that's dark, you can show the world how beautiful it is by contrast.
All right, here we go. That's my favorite. Okay.
This new character needed a new world. And this is the Firefly Funhouse. I had the opportunity to work on the first Firefly Funhouses. The Firefly Funhouse only existed in Ray's mind. It's not a real place. He would allow us inside that head. And you can accept it. This was fantasy. You walk in, shooting the Funhouse was unlike anything WWE's done before. And that was always our intention, was to do something completely different. And then wrestling that's tough because everybody's done everything at some point. Blown away by how talented it was. And I said that looks like Wyndham's brain is just like a tornado of ideas. Can it be warped somehow? He has so many different things he wants to do, wants to say. It's just so many different things at once that the hard part is kind of containing it. What about if I deliver the line before standing and then the next thing is music playing and then his range of interest is so wide. Everyone knew something about everything, and he drew inspiration from everything. Oh, and I want to introduce you to some very special friends that I met along the way. A key component of Wyndham's vision included multiple puppets that would enhance his character. This is my friend Huskus the Big Boy. Huskus was obviously a representation of Bray and the stuff that he'd gone through with his weight. Ramblin' Rabbit was sort of the personification of people's opinion of Bray, of him rambling too much in his promos. Yeah. Mercy was a little bit of an homage to Waylon Mercy, the character that Bray drew so much influence from. Abby was Sister Abigail, an imaginary sister of Bray Wyatt in his story. After several weeks of preparation, Funhouse premiered in prime time on Monday. Did you miss me? Oh, how I have missed you.
I first saw Firefly Funhouse. I remember texting one of the writers saying, "This is brilliant."
Hi. Did you enjoy my little secret? I really enjoyed the Pee-wee Playhouse take of Firefly Funhouse. Sociopath is the word of the day. Sociopath. All that stuff. So, put yourself in the genius category. Let me in. It's like Mr. Rogers meets Tales from the Crypt. Firefly Funhouse. Back as the show's going, you would always guess at one of those moments to see what Bray was going to do in that funhouse that week. Today I have something super serious to talk to you about. Exercise! For him to be able to pivot and all of a sudden, he had the charisma that so many guys don't have.
I really appreciated the Firefly Funhouse because it was the public eye's first opportunity to see Wyndham be silly.
Yowie wowie, you found me!
Knowing Wyndham, you knew it was going to go dark.
I've always liked the way, and all you have to do is let me in.
And it was going to be scary.
After months of hosting the bizarre program, in the summer of 2019, Wyndham would introduce the WWE Universe to his darker side. How does it go? That's perfect. 2 weeks back, The Fiend. He was a brand new character that lived in Bray's head. However, to take over Bray's body. And then The Fiend became real. The dichotomy of this sadistic character and the children's setup, it was so bizarre and it felt wrong, but it was one of those things you couldn't look away from.
Coming up next here at SummerSlam, it is the in-ring debut of The Fiend. It's Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, who went through this bizarre transformation in a place called the Firefly Funhouse.
He showed up on the day at SummerSlam, and I seen what the character was. I just thought, oh wow, this is cool.
Seen so many different forms of intimidation from The Fiend. This is just disturbing.
The thing about professional wrestling is it's one of the only forms of entertainment where you have to do it live in front of an audience with no CGI, no camera effects. So when The Fiend shows up in the arena, and he's literally a horror movie monster, I was like, this is unbelievable.
The Fiend is my favorite character in WWE of all time. Someone had finally pulled off a split personality character.
I was like, genius, you just printed $10 million worth of merchandise overnight.
Really excited to see The Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Seeing all these kids wearing masks, just the way it captivated the audience, it was awesome. Within months, The Fiend's popularity skyrocketed and had him on a collision course with an old foe, John Cena. meeting was scheduled to take place at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, where the Buccaneers were playing. Due to COVID, we were not able to have the audience and be able to have the show that we wanted to have in front of an audience. So we had to take it to the Performance Center, where we had been doing TV. And the feed did not lend itself to be in an empty arena. And we were looking for matches that were unique. Just got to thinking one day, and said, why don't we have a Firefly Funhouse match? The story of the Firefly Funhouse goes like this. We are sitting at a conference table at the NXT Performance Center. Someone opens the door and says, you have a Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania with Bray Wyatt. And I said, well, what's a Firefly Funhouse match? I said, we don't know. I said, great. This is going to be something. It's like, okay, what story can we tell?
There's a world that exists beyond the realm of our comprehension.
Yo, we can make this a meta journey.
So basically, this is in two of the scenes. That's another scene. That's a scene, and then there's a scene over there.
If all I got is rap and I use it to my advantage, so I'm like Husky Harris, it's a way that I can manage. And immediately channeled right in, and he got it. It was like, let me do this, let me do this. It's time to rewrite my own story. No idea was off limits.
We started working out, and I just started working out. We had to stay there and start the ball.
Let me tell you something. Any idea that I relate to him, he could make it better. And any idea that he brought to me, I was willing to do.
I need a printout of that, and I think, yeah, everybody should have it, just so you know where I'm coming from.
Give it up for John Cena!
Watching it back, you think we'd have 6 months to prepare for it. But in reality, it's like 2 days. Somehow, it got pulled off.
This is going to be sweet. You got to see all of these different characters come to life. It's like a mini movie.
It should be challenging enough to do something good. That's hard. But now in the age of content, it's harder to do something memorable. So full credit. Because we're still talking about it, and we still will be talking about it for years to come.
Following the success of that match, fans were introduced to a new Funhouse character.
He had all these ideas for me and different ways that the character could go. Let him in. He always had these off-the-wall ideas that once he explained them, you're like, that's freaking genius. Do you like my playground? He built this for me. He taught me to open my mind more creatively and to step my game up. And had a lot of fun. It's fun. That was the best, still is the best moments of my career.
I think we can do better. By we, I mean me. Wyndham's happiness behind the scenes translated on screen, but he was about to experience a heavy loss. In December of 2020, one of Wyndham's closest friends, John Huber, tragically passed away. He was 41 years old. I didn't want to believe it was true. I don't think my brain let me do it. Let me believe it. I struggled. I know he was hurting a lot, because I know I was hurting a lot. They were so close, they were like brothers. When you're in a group together with someone, you share so much of your lives together, and they talk about their families and their kids and all those things. So I know it was a profound loss for me. I know more than anybody that no one can fill the void that he left behind. But I swear to God, I'll try.
he always just carried the heaviness around, and he had a really, really, really hard time.
Wyndham struggled emotionally and professionally. Bray was a creative genius for his character. Immortal Bray was very challenging because I don't think that Bray came from a bad place, but Bray had his visions. Bray had what he wanted to do, and Bray would fight you on it. You can't put the sweatband on. No. What's the transition? How do I get to the rabbit?
I'm grabbing now anyway. He didn't like when other people were getting involved and telling him what to do and telling him how the character should act and how he should speak. So it took a toll on him.
Bray was a tremendous success, but I think he created something that was larger than another individual's thought process. While there's a clear line between Wyndham and Bray Wyatt and Fiend and all those things, they're all pieces of him that he put out there, sort of his heart and soul out on his sleeve. He never stopped thinking about it. There's something we're missing here. It's one of the geniuses of him creatively. It's also one of the things that was difficult to work with him on because he was like this whirlwind of ideas at all times, harnessing him into one thing got harder and harder, keeping him focused on the one idea at hand, getting him to agree to the idea that everybody was working on and then stay committed to it and not all of a sudden show up one day and go, guys, I think we're going in the wrong direction. We need to start over here. As the tension grew, the Bray Wyatt character was about to undergo a drastic change. We had an inferno match. I remember seeing the look on his face as he's getting covered with just all this goop to keep him safe. That was a stressful day. Guys got it. So frustrated? Yes, to put it lightly.
The only way to win is to light any part of your opponent on fire.
He got burned. That was extremely frustrating to him.
He was very particular with his story from the beginning to end, and like you can't pay off something if it took a turn. Like he didn't know how to do that. And I think that was like very frustrating for him.
That was the problem for Bray because you had to have everything on you. Well, melted, smoldering. No one thought about that. Let me drink this tea back when I got the shit off of it. I'm gonna go take pictures. All of a sudden now you're going from wrestling gear and a hot mask to a hot mask and a hot gear. I don't know if I can work like that. It was very difficult to move in. It wasn't as pliable. It wasn't as easy to maneuver and do everything you wanted to do. It moves and turns when you grab it.
Maybe this one. When I'm looking at this, we both know it's not trying to get out at this point. You know, like you're putting it politely. He hated this thing. Your brother knew the responsibility. He could wait a lot longer, and it was hard. I felt really bad for him because I know he gave it his all. He tried 100% to try to carry, not only his character and the brand, the company, and everything, but it just led to that WrestleMania. Yeah.
WrestleMania 37. The first time in over a year that the WWE fans would be in attendance.
What do you see?
I'm really excited to see Bray Wyatt. I like his mind moves anyways.
I want to see the Fiend, Bone and Burn, Randy Orton down to the ground.
At WrestleMania, finally worked for the people. See the transformation. The Fiend is stepping out of hell and of that burn. And now you have the Fiend again, the pissed off Fiend. was tough to continue that.
And the feed has been restored.
I think everyone was just as excited as we were to see the Fiend back. And it immediately turned into, I turned on him.
What the?
Causing him to lose the match.
And I want from behind with an RKO.
And it wasn't what people wanted to see. If you love something that much and you put that much time and effort, you want it to go the way your vision is. And that was like very frustrating for him.
At the time, I don't know exactly what the downfall was. Creative minds can often be misinterpreted very easily. So you can begin to have disagreements on how things go, but it can be interpreted in many different ways. Creative differences, or it's just difficult to work with. I don't know the exact answer. I just know that it fell apart somehow.
At that time, WWE was still dealing with the fallout of the pandemic, and they released a bunch of superstars, one of them being Wyndham's brother, Taylor. Then a few months later, they ended up releasing Wyndham as well. You just kept clicking, trying to find the thing that goes, no, that was fake. It's not true. No, of course it's not true.
We all were shocked. In retrospect, I can look back and I can look at pictures and I'll zoom in on his eyes and I see it destroyed him. That was bad.
Aside from being invested in his family and his children, wrestling was his life, and that was his art, and that was his outlet, and all of a sudden, instantaneously, was that supposed to be just gone?
For the first time in over a decade, Wyndham was not part of WWE. In its place, he found a new passion.
So we're here in our home, and this room in particular was Wyndham's art room. It was his space where he created a lot of his magic. It has been untouched since he has been here. So this is it. This is the mind of Wyndham. The first piece he did, and it's of me. So it's one of the first pieces he actually completed, and it's spray paint. This one right here, it's Kendall and Caden. He wanted to recreate the picture that he had in his phone of his girls. And it's a beautiful picture of them standing like that in the street. He was in the middle of doing that as a gift for them. I don't know if he ever truly felt like anything was quite finished. Like he did this over a course of 2 years. He kept working on this, stopping, starting over. But he always kept that part, which I thought was really cool. And he kept it because I told him how much I loved it. I was like, oh, I love those eyes, like the face. I said, you did so good with that. He always kept it, which I thought was really cool. This one hung in our home in St. Pete, and it reminds me a lot of when we got engaged. He surprised me by getting down on one knee in St. Pete here. So this art really ties in the pieces that I won't let go of ever in my life because it reminds me of that time.
100% art is where he really just threw himself into that and he loved it. Just always, oh, come do this with me. Let me show you this latest thing I'm trying out.
Next thing you know, he'd be showing us these paintings and we're like, you did that? I cannot believe it. I said, I've been working on this for 3 nights in a row. Go to sleep. It was amazing to see once again this anomaly of a human when he invested into something that he was going to do. It was going to be phenomenal.
While he immersed himself in his art, Wyndham also started filming a reality TV pilot with his brother. Can I touch it?
We got the opportunity to go shoot a pilot hunting monsters, cryptids, and conspiracy theories going after both. Our whole lives, we've always been into the odd things in the world.
When I was a little kid, when you watch like the Goonies and all that stuff, I remember thinking, wow, man, that's so cool. Let's just go around with my friends all day. talking about making a return to the ring. There is not a lot on the door to the WWE. And I think Rollins was crazy. So Bray Wyatt. From the first time I got on the phone with him to discuss, you want to come back? Like, hey, I'd love for you to come home. And his part, hey, I'd love to be home. I think that very first conversation we had, it went from, hey, what are you thinking about potentially coming back, to us riffing the ideas for like an hour and a half.
He wasn't done. He wanted to fix things about his legacy, and he didn't want to go out unexpectedly. He had a lot more stories to tell the WWE universe. He was in the gym a lot, like 3-4 hours a day. He really busted fast.
In the fall of 2022, Wyndham, now 35 years old, was preparing for his return.
He was coming back, like he was working for it.
So when Wyndham was negotiating with WWE to make his return, he reached out to TJ and asked TJ, hey, I need you to keep this to yourself, but would you and Natty be okay if I started coming down to your ring?
Bray was super motivated at that time. I did want to gauge where he was mentally, and he said, TJ, I know. He said, I'm super excited. And he went from it being kind of a private thing to him going around and giving each person specific, individualized advice. That just shows you how his brain is working from a creative standpoint.
You could just feel that excitement. He felt like that childlike wonder. He really wanted to get in the best shape of his life, and he wanted this to be his best run ever.
He started talking to me about what my ideas were, and if I should go back, and I decided I was going to pursue a conversation with the company again to see where I would stand, and started getting excited again like it was my first time getting into the ring again.
About the same time, I brought into the company a guy named Rob Fee. I met with Hunter and Bray. If I would ask him a question, would be like, hey, what do you think about this thing? An hour and a half later, completely off the wall ideas, we'd land on something. And I'm like, man, if he's bringing this energy back to WWE, it's going to be a wild ride. And sort of started this kind of like three-way collaboration on this project. And Bray would call us both and say, I have this idea.
We're in the home stretch now.
We started coming up with all these crazy Easter eggy, like how could we riff these ideas to lead to this return? That was me, Bray, and Rob was really instrumental. It was Bray coming up with crazy.
I don't know what happened there, but
Brought up the first QR code, led to a puzzle. I believe viewership was up 25% because people were so excited to see what this was leading to.
The white rabbit teases are all that any wrestling fan wants to talk about. It was so vague and complicated that it allowed us to just speculate wildly for weeks at a time.
We did rabbits in the crowd.
oh my goodness.
We had latitude and longitudes in Italy that if you viewed it from overhead was this giant pink bunny. All the clues were just enough to where it felt like a Bray thing, but it wasn't for sure. The final one we did, fire shoots out, and it brings up date of Extreme Rules because we were like, At this point, let's stop with them and just show them exactly what it is.
Oh boy.
October 8th, 2022.
I remember this one.
The day had finally arrived. After 15 months, Wyndham was home.
I didn't know I could draw a year ago. Yeah, see something cool? I was really proud of this. Yeah, it's the first time I ever did this by myself. Like, this is the concept art. Sitting at home for a year by yourself and painting and kind of, thinking about these things and, designing all these ideas that I'm dreaming of one day. Maybe we can get a chance to do this stuff. It's such a cool feeling to, be on the cusp of it. This is always the most exciting part for me, this joy you get from creating, and you stress me out recovering over, that I'm doing it. This is how I keep calm, kind of in stressful situations.
He was nervous for sure. I was not there for extreme roles, but I remember he would call me and he'd just kind of be like, he'd pace back and forth constantly. I just can't right now. I'm like, okay. But just to make sure that it was done the way he wanted it to be done, there was so much pressure on him that it made him nervous. He was like, I gotta do this right.
I always think, well, no, so this person's not gonna like this. This person's not gonna like that.
15,944 WWE fans are here tonight. We are sold out for Extreme Rules. I remember Hunter came on the bus and was like, we just think it'd be kind of cool to just show that your characters just sort of invaded back into the world of WWE. And we're like, yeah, sounds like a plan. Chris and Hunter are like, we want the feed as well. We were just going to grab a random picture of somebody. And it goes, now, Jason, you're the only person I trust, and you're the only person that deserves to do it. You got this, right? The honor is definitely not lost on me.
You only get this a couple times in your life, Feeling of pure bliss, The nerves, bliss. Pretty I get nervous, but I'm pretty nervous. I want to show everybody what all the hard work is, It's time.
Wyndham emerged just 15 minutes before his long-awaited return. They knew something was going to happen on the show. And this was after the main event. So, they're like, did we miss something? Was it wrong? Logo comes up at the bottom. You think the show's over?
Mm-hmm.
Are we still on the air?
I don't think I've ever experienced it as sensational like I felt like I was just suffering. I wasn't wrong. I've never felt anything like it.
No, I'm seriously, I'm on an edge right now. I feel like I was just almost in a car wreck. Holy shit.
It literally, the effing roof off the place, and I was like, holy cow, sight for sore eyes. Make this, we made this. content of that movie, right? I'm down. When you talk about blowing the roof off of the place, they may still be trying to put it back on. It was an explosion when Bray returned. They knew. They wanted it, and they got it.
Not everybody gets to spend their 40th birthday dressing up as their best friend and helping them come back to their job.
Biggest thing in wrestling is very, very long.
Yeah. I've never heard anything that loud in my life. It was insane.
It was so cool. It's just wild. And to see this guy getting his re-debut coming back, and he sparked a fire under me like I never felt, and it was all him.
Part of professional wrestling is the theater of the mind, is to take you away from reality. And when you have a character that you look forward to seeing each week and then they're gone, you can't wait to have that back. There was something about him that made people feel better, and people missed seeing that on TV.
I'm incredibly grateful. And I'm really, really nervous to be here, but I never thought of this as happening. This right here, this is just me, okay? Yeah, this is a version of me that I've never got to introduce to you guys before. This is just me being me, genuine me for the first time. Well, like, we were just so grateful for him and grateful to have him back. And then that promo where he was just kind of raw and spoke more as Wyndham was so unique and so different. I can sit here right now today and I can look all of you in the eyes and I can say that you were there when I was weak, when I was vulnerable, when I was down. So I just wanted to say thank you. You all saved my life. That's my favorite Bray Wyatt book, because not only do they already love him for his commitment and for everything he's done and for the rides he's taken them on with these different characters all these years, now they get to see a window into him as the actual person. When he did that promo, I was like, oh, now we're cooking.
He forgot how much he meant to people. When he got reminded of that is what I loved.
If I didn't have such passionate fans, I wouldn't be here. I really wouldn't.
What's the best part of being a wrestler?
The best part is, this may sound corny, but it's the truth, is the fans. I have fans that are so into what I do, it feels like it's part of their life too. Oh my God! You guys scare me. It's them that led me back here. This is the best I've ever felt. Felt like he was getting a second chance, and he had a lot more perspective on what that could be. And so he was excited to bring as much of himself into that character. Bray wanted to take the audience on a journey. Here I am, Wyndham Rotunda, just a regular guy, just like you. Yet I'm different. My emotions, they don't work like most other people's. I don't have control. Sometimes they can send me to a very, very dark place. Bray Wyatt once had a family. The Fiend had his funhouse. But this time,
Yeah, it's Firefly. Yeah.
Wyndham needed
Right.
someone else.
Uncle Howdy.
His brother.
Boom. There we go.
I wanted to use Taylor all along, and I thought it was a pretty cool concept. The whole thing came from this nightmare that he used to have when he was a child that would haunt him in his dreams. That was the catalyst to create the Uncle Howdy looking design.
Be able to freely work with him for the first time as colleagues and as brothers, it was like a dream come true. Wyndham had already accomplished the most unbelievable things you could do in this business, and the only goal left was to do together. We were both becoming monsters. I was going to work just to hang out with my brother. That was my job, you know, and to play with my brother. What is that thing? That's Uncle Howdy.
Being two little kids again, developing the characters, and coming up with ideas for them to be able to work together and complement each other was awesome.
Uncle Howdy locked himself on that top!
We're going to be in WrestleMania together. We always had that dream. And that dream never changed. It only got stronger and more real. That time period where we were working together.
In a system again!
And everything.
Too good to be true. All of a sudden, he had this like second lease on life, and it came out of everything he did. The joy of it, and you know, as we were doing it, you know, sometimes we would talk, and we'd get done an hour of creative whatever. Then he'd call me back 2 seconds later and be like, "Hey man, I just want you to know, I'm just being how much fun I'm having." Made me want to, you know, work harder for him. Made me want to run through a wall for him to get this stuff done, to get it where it needed to be. February 26, 2023. Here I get to stand across from a guy who had really built a name and a whole world for himself. That's huge. He said that his Catherine's knee started to like seize up or something. I was like, "Good, are you good?" And she's like, "All right, well, we're trying to work as best we could to kind of protect him." Nobody knew at the time, not even Wyndham Rotunda, that he had just completed his final match. March 2023. The Bray Wyatt character was suddenly absent from WWE programming.
I was at TV and found out when it wasn't there and called like, "Where you at?" And he was at home. He had COVID.
Went to the hospital. He tested positive for COVID. They were like, "Oh my God, they admitted it. It's hard." You had to go do stress and echocardiograms through this period of time.
The weekend heart. Like it was like the way his heart performed and functioned, it was not where it needed to be. It kept making him feel off. He kept saying, "I feel off."
I didn't think it was that serious. I mean, to me, he's my big brother. Nothing can hurt him.
He didn't share too many details. He just always wanted to assure everybody that he was fine, I'm fine. But I could see that he didn't feel amazing. He worked with a cardiologist and he was on medication. He was already cleared to work out, but not a lot. They'd say just light cardio was fine, so he would do that. He was doing a little bit better, and then it kept getting better and better and better, and then like a couple times it like kind of backtracked.
My sister, she was staying at his guest house, and when she walked in the garage, there was a rattlesnake. So we freaked out and drove there, and we had to lift up some stuff and get to it. And afterwards, he always sweated, but it was more than that. And in his eyes, and he said, I don't feel good. I just got to take a nap. And it was like 3 in the afternoon, and crossed my mind. I worried for my brother in that moment. And I asked him, "Daddy, yeah, I'm fine." But I never really worried. I never thought, "Oh, Wyndham's really sick." Never for a second. I was just waiting for the call to come back as monsters like we both wanted.
We were still under the doctor's care, and we were right there to where, oh, you know, he's fine. You know, he should be able to go back soon. But he didn't feel good. and they set him up with a vest that was actually to where it would shock him if he stopped. And they released him from the hospital with that. He swore he would wear it. Like, I picked him up at the hospital, brought him home, watched him get fitted and everything. He wore it, and he went for the follow-up with his doctor.
Thursday, August 24th.
Okay.
Wyndham had a morning checkup with his doctor.
He called me and he said, probably at some point I'm gonna have to do a pacemaker or something. So he didn't tell me there was good news or bad news, but he was, I'm gonna be fine.
It was that morning. I had called him. He answered the phone. He was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I said, "What do you want to get the kids from school today?" And he was like, "I would love that. Yeah, I'm gonna pick the kids up from school." I said, "Okay, cool." I think it was like 10 in the morning. He like walks in the house. He's excited. Just, "Hey guys, what's up?" And all the kids jumping on him and everything. So he was just really, really happy. And he's like, "I'm gonna go take a nap." And I was like, "All right, cool." He goes sleep around 2 p.m. So I'm doing my thing in the kitchen. My mom's there, and then his alarm starts going off at 3. And so then I walked over and I was like, "Babe, your alarm's going off." And then I touched his leg, and he went, "Oh." And so then I started choking him and hitting him, and he went, "Oh." And so I screamed for my mom. I called 911 immediately. In the meantime, my mom is calling his mom.
She's screaming, "Wyndham's having a heart attack, Wyndham's having a heart attack." And I'm like, no. I'm on the phone. And I immediately called Taylor.
She said she didn't know the details. He's not breathing.
I'm following them with his gurney, and I kept yelling at him. I'm like, "Please just come back to me. My face, just come back to me." My car was in the shop, so I had to call Taylor and say, "Taylor, I need you to come get me the baby now." And I remember getting my baby dressed, and I just kept saying to her, "Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay." And in the back of my mind, I just knew it's not okay.
As soon as we walked in, they pulled us in a room alone. The doctor walked in, and it's like something you see a million times in movies, but you really don't know what it feels like until it happens. He said, "We got bad news. He's gone." And it's like time slowed down. I could see the reaction of everybody in the room. My mom, Dad crumbling, and my sister, she's got her baby wrapped to her chest. She's fallen. I've never been more sad, but something hit me. And I still to this day think it was Wyndham. Something in me gave me the strength to go, "Stop. I need to hold them up." He gave me strength in a moment where I would think I would crumble. And I really believe it was him. And he was telling me, "Be there for Mom. Hold her up."
Taylor had to pick me up off the floor, and I just remember his hand felt so big. Just help me, pick me up. There's nothing we can do. It was absolute disbelief that this isn't happening. This is not real. And I kept looking at Michael, Mike, you gotta do something. Fix this now.
It's just heartbreaking. Somebody sticking their fist in your chest and pulling your heart out. My sister called me, and all she said was, "Wyndham is gone." My phone rang. I was sitting on the plane, and I answered it. And Joe said he's gone. And I said, "What do you mean he's gone?" "He's dead." And I literally was walking out there, and I dropped my knees on the jet bridge. And I felt like all of a sudden something was missing from me.
I got a phone call. It was Joe. She goes, "Wyndham's gone." And I screamed. I just think about his help. I'm going to tell my children. They're 3 and 4 that they just lost their dad. People say, like, it was a nightmare. But you don't know what that feels like until you live a nightmare.
It was, and will forever be the worst day of my life.
Didn't have the best time.
Don't know what happened. Wyndham Rotunda passed away. He was 36 years old. Just 24 hours after Wyndham's passing, WWE's Friday Night SmackDown program was set to air live from Louisville, Kentucky. Life is short. What is it? Anything else? It's short. It still surreal. I still feel like I just haven't seen him for a while. You know, because he was so larger than life as a person and so big personality-wise, and everything was so good. And for somebody that young, it's just a crazy, I don't know, hard to put in words. 36 years old, cherish each other.
Sitting here doing this whole thing about Wyndham, and even now, there's still a huge part of me that's in total denial. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just didn't believe it. I just thought it was bullshit. I just thought it wasn't real. Sometimes, even now, I still don't think it's real. Yeah, I don't know. It sucked. It still sucks. Everything we wanted to do was a tribute to Bray. Just to say thank you. Mr. Barrage has different feelings in my head.
It's just not like everyone's obviously.
He's one of the greatest people I've ever met, and I wouldn't be where I am in my life without meeting him. I miss you. I miss you. He touched a lot of people. He was loved by billions. Wyndham's sudden passing left the entire WWE universe in shock. Honoring his legacy would be a tall task. Following Wyndham's passing, in arenas across the country, superstars and fans paid tribute to Bray Wyatt.
I know that all of you can feel the
spirit of Bray Wyatt in this building. That was the one time where I got struggling and started to break me. I had to kind of look at the ceiling and kind of keep everything together. Just big deep breath.
This one is for Window. Talk the ones that you love.
He was a special human being. He was a good human being. There's not very many people like Wyndham Rotunda. There's nobody like Wyndham Rotunda.
The only therapy that I was able to get was in that ring. He is truly a beautiful soul inside of the ring now.
It was touching to see so many people care and know that he touched so many people.
He really touched lives from all over the world. It was just overwhelming, really overwhelming to see how much he was loved. Wow. Wow. He was loved.
September 6th, 2 weeks after Wyndham's passing, a service was held in his hometown of Brooksville, Florida.
To go and plan your son's funeral is the worst thing in the world. It's the hardest thing in the world.
We wanted it to be very Wyndham, down to his urn, very much like him, and his flame.
Smoke going off and red lights, like it was a Wyndham funeral, and it made me smile. Seeing everyone together, how important he was to so many people. That just makes volumes for the man that he was. Didn't get to go to the funeral, and there was some closure there, but at the same time, how can there be closure on a guy who was just stepping into his prime, really?
I was reading more that day than I ever thought possible. I really don't know how I'm gonna get through this. Wyndham would have done this for me, and he would have ended up killing it. He really would have. He wasn't just my big brother or my best friend. He was my idol.
It was Taylor's superhero. The eulogy that Taylor gave it Wyndham's service was unbelievable.
He is and always will be the most beautiful, amazing person I've ever known. I love you so much, Wyndham.
I can feel Wyndham's comfort as I sit up there to speak. A couple months ago, I had a speaking opportunity. My dad actually asked me to do it. He's working on a book, and he said, set something up with the boys and, interview them and get some transcripts, just talking about our family and values and how we grew up. I had no idea that Wyndham was going to tell us how he wanted to be remembered.
Makes me the first ballot Hall of Famer and makes all my kids proud. But honestly, at the end of the day, people in the church, I think that I'm the members of the Dark Horse fans, just rest there. Making sure that my kids, JoJo, everybody, that they know they can count on me, that I will be there no matter what. Wyndham was gone, but his ideas live on. He still has one final creation to share with the world.
He was here a bunch, came like 3 or 4 times over the summer, spitballing ideas. I want to do this, I want to do that. And from there, we started working on the new feet. We made the new lantern. We found little animatronics and size, moving back and forth.
Whoa.
Now, started talking about gear. But I've always wanted something new, something fresh, something different. What would the next evolution of the feet be? We 3D sculpted a body form
already been approved by Wyndham. His jacket was actually something he had purchased, and his mother and father sent it to us, so we were able to use that. Wyndham always loved little Easter eggs. We did the original lantern. If you look, the eyes just look like stitches, but they're actually Roman numerals of Nash's son's birthday. So we just kept that tradition going. The pinstripe, we got the idea to do each one of his children's names. We loved making you look at something twice to find something else more about it. The stitches we did in a way to where they're actually the Roman numerals of what would have been his wedding anniversary, which is December 6th. 12 on this side. And then here we have the 6.
Dang, that's my mom's birthday.
One of the ideas that Wyndham had was instead of doing the spider walk really backwards, if we did something where he could lean forward, his hair would kind of fly up over, so when he was crawling around, he would expose the second mask, which would be hidden by his hair. Gross, disgusting face on the front, but then on the back we have this beautiful face, and to Wyndham the most beautiful face was JoJo's. So we 3D scanned JoJo's face, and we were able to make a copy of that and then sculpt it. And we decided to put these mockingbirds on there. That's another homage to JoJo. Wyndham's nickname for JoJo was Mockingbird. It's devastatingly heartbreaking that this is the last thing I ever get to work on with my best friend. But I couldn't be more proud of my crew and everyone that came together that helped us bring this to life. I think it just really just hurts the most that I never got to tell him how much he meant to me. I never felt like work with him. I just felt like I got to hang out with my best friend, and I miss that. If I can give this to his fans, which meant the world to him, then not all of him is completely gone. So, if I get to help my friend live on in some way or capacity, like, I'll be okay with that. I can do that.
He's not gone because the art he left and his ideas will live on forever. The Rohan was much more and much more entertaining than any of his characters could be. It was very entertaining always. And he did that for them, but we got him. And he's missed a lot.
January 2024. It's been 5 months since Wyndham passed. While he is gone, you can still see him. Here.
What's the put a little bit of pink on the rainbow right here?
His smile. His life. His hope.
My name is Kaden Rotunda. My name is Kendra Maria Rotunda. I like to play sports. I just like shoes. It's fun. I just like it because like me and my dad did it together. So yeah. I want to travel everywhere and become an artist. Definitely in all 4 kids. And all 4 take after him some way. Kyrie, I'd probably say chaos. Hayden, probably smart. Ash, he's just a dinosaur. Just a dinosaur.
Knock on wood, if you believe in afterlife, we will get to see him again.
My fire and love for the business has to burn brighter than it ever has because he's given me the strength and passion to want to carry his legacy on. If you asked him what he was, he would say he's an artist. He's got the
In his hands.
The dad he was. The son
brother, everything of who he was the best at it.
I'm something completely different that has ever been in the WWE. We're here. Wyndham once said, wrestling is not a love story. It's much more. It's hope. A spectacle no one can deny. An excuse to be a kid again. And nothing matters except the moment we are in. Walk by my side and I will lead you to paradise. And that is how Wyndham Rotunda lived. I'm the color red in a world full of black and white. One of the most unique minds. Changed the landscape. He inspired not only the fans, but a lot of the boys in the locker room to push themselves to be more creative. There's a love for this industry and what he gave to it. Something special. Nobody ever has taken the risks that he has.
He opened up a world that no one could ever do.
I am forever. I think he is the template for taking chances and the template for being brave. Do I have your attention now?
Greatest human I have ever known. Hands down. One of a kind. There will only be one window. He's got the whole world.
Okay, stand by. Ready to roll. I'm very honored to be asked to be part of this project. It's kind of bizarre to know that I worked with Mike, and then I remember meeting both boys when they were small kids, and then actually working at WrestleMania with Wyndham. You talk about things coming full circle. I could always see in Wyndham that he was so different, and have very few people that come along that actually think outside of the box. He was taken from us way too soon. I know what he would have been, and it would have been really, really special. Oh my God! Wow! 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 Yes! 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 Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! That was a fantastic documentary. Oh my God! Yes.